Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh, and something a bit different for you today. There has been a Project A bombshell dropped. Now, what is Project A and why am I talking about it? Well, for those of you in the dark since last October, it is a new tactical character-based shooter coming from none other than Riot Games. Now, you'll be probably familiar with Riot for League of Legends, perhaps Legends of Runeterra as well recently if you're into your card games. Now, after its announcement last October at the Riot anniversary, there has not been a bunch of information, but an embargo is clearly lifted, and several CSGO casters, players and personalities have had a chat about what this game could be, and it's quite exciting to me, both from a gameplay and a lore perspective as well. So do give this a go, let me know what you think, and timecodes in the description below if you want to skip around. So first things first, what is Project A going to be? Well, previously we knew a little bit from a couple of minute trailer at the end of 2019 at Riot's anniversary event when it, along with other new Riot Games projects, were announced. Now, Project A is going to be a character-based tactical shooter, and it's attempting to fuse a couple of things together. Now, it's described as competitive, precise gunplay, so we're thinking of something like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO, but also with abilities, which are described as making opportunities for the gunplay to shine. There's a definite emphasis on what we've heard so far, and the news today backs that up, on these being supportive in nature rather than perhaps being game defining in and of themselves, or bigger factors in terms of whether a game or a fight is won or lost. Now, I'm showing you some of the gameplay that we've seen so far, and you can see abilities here such as grenades type things, wall creation, a resurrect, something that's like a bit of a blink, as well as levitating and throwing knives, which is a really cool ability we see a couple of times. So you can see how the mixture is coming together. And Project A and the news and various opinions that have been shared from people are very, very firmly placing it in a place very much between the precise tactical gunplay, or with the precise tactical gunplay of something like Counter-Strike, and then also the more ability-driven things such as Overwatch, which obviously you know I love, and also Apex Legends, which I've been playing a bunch of recently as well. So, on to the news. Well, several different opinions came out today from people, but the main really good thread was from a person called HenryG. Now, if you're familiar with CSGO or Counter-Strike, HenryG needs no introduction. He's a British ex-professional CSGO player, he's an ex-team owner, he's a well-known caster and commentator. So he, along with a bunch of people, was invited to Riot to play a bunch of Project A and were able to share their first impressions. It does look as though that there's quite a chunk of Project A that's playable, and we've got a whole bunch of details, so do check out the thread on Twitter at HenryG I've linked it in the description below if you're interested. It's going to be a round-based 5v5 shooter, more similar, as many people have been saying, and the comparison has been invited to CSGO, with better, quote-unquote, diluted elements of class hero FPS, like Overwatch or Apex abilities and ultimates. Ultimates abilities are described as more like tactical utility. So rather than big ultimate combos, say Graviton Surge and Dragon in Overwatch, something that's more of a round win or a big win condition towards winning the round of the game that you're playing. In Project A, it looks like from the little bit of footage we've seen and from what HenryG says, these abilities, things like the wall, the grenade that we've seen, and similar, even the offensive ones like the knives, are more like smoke grenades and flashbangs in CSGO. Now, if you're not familiar with Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you can buy grenades and flashbangs to smoke off areas of the map so that you can pass and the enemy team looking the other direction perhaps can't see you. You can throw flashbangs, for example, so that the enemy team are temporarily blinded so that you can go in and then use your shooting skill to make that play. So it seems like Project A abilities may well be more to set up the gunplay, the shooting part of the game, rather than abilities that may dominate a fight or be a key decider of a fight on their own. The concept of economy is in Project A. That's been talked about by HenryG and indeed other content creators such as Westy, who also took a look at this event in Dublin. So in Project A, it seems like you will, through your kills, through the results of rounds, earn currency, and then you spend this currency, like in CSGO, to buy different weapons, to buy your kit, but you also buy your abilities with this. So these various abilities that you see are from the same currency pool as that you have to buy your weapons with. So you will have to make choices whether you're investing into abilities or the weapons that you're using, which is interesting and an extra layer of depth even on top of what CSGO has at the moment. As for game mode, the one that has been shown so far is kind of a search and destroy defusal type game. 2 bomb sites with an attack defense swap at half time. So very CSGO-like in terms of playing the map in one direction, having to attack and then having to defend it as well. Other interesting details, weapons do have spray patterns, so as opposed to something like Overwatch where the longer that you hold down a gun spraying there will be bloom, the weapon will become more inaccurate. In Project A there will be a spray pattern, so the gun recoil if you hold down means you have to adjust your aim in a certain pattern to ensure that the bullets are still hitting in the right place. Very much like CSGO again. Now, one-hit headshots apparently, generally speaking, will down an opponent, so accuracy and headshots are a very important thing in Project A. Last but not least, a little bit on maps. Now, these sound as though that they are set up very, very traditionally in terms of having different lanes, attack paths, choke points, and HenryG makes the point that he thinks it's gameplay substance above aesthetics. So, bearing in mind that what we've seen in the reveal and announced trailer from the Riot anniversary celebrations last year is very, very early footage, Project A is still going to focus on readability of maps above perhaps sort of too much visual clutter, which is a good thing, I think. Now, also a little bit of news on the format of the game. Now, not a massive surprise from Riot, but it seems as if it's going to be free to play. Several other people also went to an event, it seems, in January in California, and Vadim Elistratov, writing for a publication called DTF, in some translated copy here, did say that the game will be having a free-to-play model with perhaps skins or cosmetics buyable and available. No huge surprise there. So, last but by no means least, I'm also very, very excited, as I would be of course, about the world building and story and potential lore around Project A as well. Now, for those of you who have followed League of Legends or not, Riot, effectively a few years back, basically ripped up all previous League of Legends lore they had, hired a bunch of writers and kind of started again from the ground up. In recent years, things such as KDA Popstars, True Damage, the song from Worlds last year, they've done a really big job of extending the cinematics that they create, the music and music videos that they've made around the game and around the characters, world and lore, even outside of the game lore itself. So it's been really, really cool. No doubt with a bit of an eye on Overwatch and the example that Overwatch set. Games like Fortnite have continued in-game storytelling as well. So Riot have really been doing an awesome job with expanding the world around League of Legends, and I am pretty sure that Project A, or whatever it ends up being called, because Project A is the name for the moment, will get similar treatment. We can see these cool characters already. Someone levitating, throwing knives. I want to know all about that person. The spy-like gangster with a silhouette with grenades. I'm loving all this. So can't wait to see what happens for story and lore for the world of Project A as well. So I will, of course, be having a look at that if I have the opportunity to here. So watch this space. So one last interesting thing to think about. Now, it has been very, very quiet on Project A for the last few months, but with this flood of early impressions, all of the people sharing early impressions on Twitter say that they're allowed to share early impressions, that they can give more in-depth impressions at a later date. Now, the DTF writer in the translated tweet that I've shared, and I've linked to that as well in the description below, has said that there might be more details on March the 2nd. Now, don't know whether they're meant to mention that or not, because that sounds like another embargo. So if this much of Project A is being shown off, if people are playing it this early, then who knows, perhaps there could be a lot more content and perhaps a lot more Project A for us to see a lot sooner than maybe a lot of us would have thought, and we might be in a very short run up, who knows, to maybe something playable earlier this year than we may have thought. But whatever happens, I'll be keeping an eye on it. What do you think about Project A? What do you think about what you've seen? Are you excited for it? Do you play other shooters right now? Are you playing maybe Rainbow Six Siege or Destiny? Would Project A be something that excites you because it's from Riot? Do let me know in the comments below, and thank you for tuning in. Throw a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. If you want me to sort of cover more of this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And do check out all of my Overwatch lore interactions, voice lines, and all of my lore and videos around other games that are here in my playlists. Big thanks to my patrons on Patreon who have made my channel possible for a long time. The Patreon is currently on pause at the moment as I revamp the channel and start working on new content towards expanding what we do here. But if you want to check it out, do check out patreon.com/Hammeh. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.